Hey everyone, and happy Easter to you and your families. This is our Create With Me number 3. So this one is the wall decor. If you can see above me here, this painting I had actually done for a competition for a society organization that I am part of. It now sits above me because I am actually extremely proud of it. But what we're doing today is something very simple and can literally open up and let the room look a little bit more creative. And hey, if you didn't know, if you have a room that really echoes, putting a few pieces of art on the wall will actually help that echo so it doesn't echo anymore. So the one I'm going to basically show everyone how to do is I've already done the finished product again. So this is the two-tone one. It says change the world by being yourself, and I understand that's kind of backwards for you guys right now, but that's what it says. So it's extremely simple. It's done with 2 colors, and you write the phrase on it in white. Now, my cursive writing is not epic, but neither is my printing, and you guys can find some references that I'm going to leave in the description of different ways to do handwriting, and that might be possibly a way for it to help you. But today, for me to do this here, what I'm showing you is where you can get your supplies and how to set it down. So this is a canvas board, so it's not a full canvas. Canvas board, I taped it off with painter's tape, or you can use a ruler, or if, hell, you actually have a good eye, draw it on whatever way. It doesn't have to be diagonally. It can be down the center. It could be across here, or hell, you can do 4 pieces. But what the point is to have 2 offsetting colors in your background and have one that's going to come forward. So then that way you guys can actually have something bright and welcoming when you walk in the room. Now, this is only a small canvas. It can technically be done on any size. So today what I did was I decided to use bright orange and pink because it's Easter, but most that know me know that I'm not a very pink or orangey person. It's the Deco Art Crafters paint that you can get from the dollar store as well. So overall, the amount that I would have spent on this if I hadn't already had a lot of this myself is, I would say, at most, this might be pushing it, or it might be a little bit over, don't quote me on it, you'd be spending about $10 to do this, and then in the end, you actually have paint left over, you also have paintbrushes that you can use again, and hey, everyone can always use a ruler. So with that, I'm going to paint one side of this. One thing I will note to you guys in my experience with painting is that if you are just painting on either a canvas board or just even one of the regular canvases from dollar store, is one of the things that you want to keep in mind is that you might actually want to put a couple coats of white paint, white acrylic paint on your canvas first, so then that way it doesn't take as many coats when you're putting down the color the first time. Now, where I haven't primed this, logically off screen, I'm probably going to have to go over the colors more than once, which means I'm going to have to probably put, last time I did the blue and the purple one, it was about 2 solid coats of acrylic is what had to go on it in order to make it look like there was no white in the background and that it was a solid color. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to take the orange first and give it a good shake because you don't need no paint snots. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's when you open up your acrylic paint and you go to put it down on a canvas or you go to paint something and it looks like your paint has a booger. It is really, really gross. Or it looks gross. And it makes it really interesting to try to work with your paint because you can't paint with that. It becomes almost like a liquid solid. So you have to remove that first if you end up with paint snot. That's what I call it anyway. Call it whatever you want. But I'm starting with the orange. So the thing is that also with the painter's tape, if you go over your line a little bit, it shouldn't be that big of a deal to continue with it, because once you're done with it, you can actually take the painter's tape off and it will leave a nice solid line, so you didn't have to worry about using a ruler. Now, overall, the acrylic paint that I use, because, I'm a budget-friendly artist, and this is the best paint that I've been using for years, and it does the job that I need it to, most of the time, if the paint's not thick, usually I can get it to dry within about an hour. So this entire project would be really great for today, because as most of us are actually stuck in the house not doing anything, even though it's a really nice day here in Nova Scotia, finally, for once, is to, you can let it dry in between both, or you can actually paint both. Now, if you end up getting to a point like I have here, and you kind of have a little bit too much paint on your canvas right now, what you can do is that you can take it over the sink and kind of just brush off some of the excess, which is what I'm going to do, so just give me a minute. So I moved a lot of the paint off that ended up being excess, because you can either choose to put a little on your canvas as you go, or today I kind of just squirted a whole bunch on because, hey, why not? Living on the edge. But what you're going to do, again, like I said, is you're just going to continue to go, and you're going to try to move the paint around so it's as even as possible, unless you actually want the textured look in your painting. And then you can kind of leave like the bumps and whatever like that. The thicker the paint is, the less coats you may actually have to do as well with this paint. Also, for those of you who don't have canvases and you're doing this on paper, the acrylic paint will kind of probably make your painting, when it dries, kind of curl or kind of bubble up. So once you're done each side of your page, I would suggest putting a nice heavy book on it when it's dry, until you can get it to flatten out some. And then I would then take the time after that's done for a little while to actually, that's when I would do your other side. And then once that's done, I would also put it underneath I know some of us millennials that went to school, we have textbooks that were like this thick. Probably one of those would work, or a really thick book. And then put that on top of it and let that kind of flatten out. And then one of the other things you can do is that, because it's a piece of paper and it's not actually a canvas, with these flat board canvases, I find it doesn't give you that kind of like lip that you can use to hang it up, because this one actually is a canvas and it actually has a lip, so that's why I was able to hang it up. But one of the other things you can get at the dollar store too is you can get a small frame, and you can either put the small frame, if it fits, put the canvas board in the frame if it is the right size and it fits, or you can take your piece of paper, if that's an 8x10 or whatever it is, and you can put that in the frame, so then it actually becomes a framed piece of art on your wall rather than a canvas. So with that as well, like I said, and I also decided to do the orange and pink, and I'm not sure if I remember if I said it or not, but I did the orange and the pink because, hey, it's Easter, and, we got to add some extra brightness to this day and the situation that we're going through. So that's what I did. So now, as you guys can see, one of my corners is completely orange. So now I have to let this dry, because even before you guys put the writing or the inspirational quote that kind of gives you that giddy up go, you can't do that unless the background surface is dry. So one of the things I'll also include in the description is a link to a Pinterest board that gives you inspirational quotes or stuff like that. And if you find one that you like, you can use that, as well as also the handwriting ones. Also, one of the other things I want to mention, I messaged it on my Facebook, but for those who actually have answered me back, these are what the little pins look like. So as you guys can see in my top right corner, or my logo, I made myself a logo, and I made little pins that match. So this is what they look like. So they're really tiny, but they also have the lock bracket on them. And they are glazed, so they can be kept well. And yeah, so if anybody's interested in those, you can actually reach out to me in the comments, or you can reach out to me on Facebook if you have that. So with no further ado, that's my Create With Me video today. Yes, it's one day late, and I apologize for the delay, but I figured it might be a little better to do it on Easter because it adds an Easter activity for the kiddos if you wish to do it with them. As well as my next video that's coming out is on Wednesday, and I think I'm going to tackle the idea of the fact that all of us parents that are stuck at home have now kind of become homeschoolers, and see if I can offer some tips and tricks to help you gain your sanity because of the glorious teachers and everything they do while our children are in school. So be prepared for that video. That will be Wednesday. Thanks, everyone.